Micky, Collins, after the 2-2 draw against Cray Valley, it's not easy, this title-winning lark, is it?
Trust me, I know. I left it till the last game of the season to win it last time. No, and
today?
Yeah, I mean, we keep using the word disappointing, but I'm actually annoyed today. I'm actually annoyed at the fact that we've given away 2 goals. Sloppy defending for the first one, and then the second one, we've got 4 opportunities to clear it. We don't. Jack dives in, it's a penalty all day for me, and the guy slots it. And I'm not being rude to Cray Valley in a game where they probably never generated many chances. I don't know how many crosses we put in. I don't know how many more chances on goal we've had, but, you know, again, I've got to look and say on the balance of play, a draw's a fair result.
Talking about the penalty, somebody who was a bit closer than I was to it suggested it was a bit of a harsh call against Jack.
It always is, but if you lunge in and you dive in like that and your arms are high and they're slightly away from your body, then you run the risk of it being given. You know, what else can you do in that position? I fully understand that, but you know, the refs put the whistle to his mouth within the first half a second. So whether he was already wanting to give it or he saw a better view than all of us, he's a lot closer than me. At the end of the day, I don't look at that moment. The moment is the 4 chances we've had to clear the ball prior to
right
that.
In front, right, yeah. On the far side of the
Absolutely,
pitch.
and it's gone across the box and we still had a chance to clear it and we haven't bothered. And you know, and as I said at half time, in my opinion, it's only us that was going to lose that game of football, and we contrived to try and do that.
And frustrating, but again, we talked about it after the defeat against Erith, the team coming here and enjoying playing on this pitch.
Yeah, they should, and you know that's how it should be. But we're used to it, and you know, and in the first half, there's instances where I'm looking at it, knowing how we can play on this and how we can utilise it, and we haven't done that. And our players, at times, you know, I've got to stand up and be counted. And looking today, and I've gone in there and had a moan at the end, and probably the biggest moan I've had for a while, because there's too many of them just rolling up and not performing to the levels they can, and thinking it's acceptable. We make a bad pass, it's acceptable. You know, and they're not the levels that's needed to go and win a league title, and that needs to improve quickly. And if it doesn't, then I'll ring the changes to make sure it does.
So, what is disappointing you most?
For me, it's the lack of urgency. You know, at times I just think we think because we're top of the league, we can rock up places, and even at home or away, and we're going to get the result. You know, and even last week, you know, we've got 4-0 win, but for me, I knew we glossed over it because I knew that at stages we didn't play well enough, and today the same things happened. You know, the first goal was atrocious. You know, that's like under 10s football. You know, you can't allow things for that. And, you know, they're bits that have got to be rectified. And as I say, you know, you've conceded another 2 goals at home. That's not good enough. And, you know, if we hadn't conceded them 2 goals, we've scored 2.
Yeah. And Kevin Lisby would never miss a chance like that in his whole career.
Oh, he's a great player. He's still a great player. You know, you don't get to 37 and have the league games he's had and the career he's had, you know, without being a great player. It's not a fluke. You know, he's a quality, and I think he bullied our 2 centre-halves today, both of them, or 3 of them, when we made the change as well. And his movement, even though he can't run, his movement's still quality. And he caused us problems. And, you know, we told him how to deal with it at half-time, but unfortunately at the moment we're not listening enough, and we're not delivering what we're being told in the changing room, and that's why they've just got an earful.
Was that a tactical substitution at half-time with Tom coming off, or an injury?
No, he pulled a quad, so he's done a quad, so we don't know how bad that is, but we'll have to look at that for the midweek game. But yeah, that's you know, luckily we've got another centre-half, and that's why we've run with that all season. You know, to be fair to Jack, he's come in and he's had to go in there and deal with it, and you know, he ain't really covered himself in glory either. So from my point of view, it's too many players that are turning up and not playing to their full potential. And if they do, and you have all 11 like that, you win games comfortably. We're not doing that, and it's proving it because some of the indifferent results we're getting.
And is it nerves? You know, are we showing, you know, the boys showing signs of, you know, a bit of nervous tension coming into this last couple of months of the season?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they purely turn up and think that looking at around the change room and what's in there and what's not, and we can just turn up here and put a mediocre performance on and win a game of football. And unfortunately, you've got to come off there and be half dead at every game, and we're not doing that. And that's levels for me. And there's too many players out there not showing enough levels of desire, and that's not acceptable at any level of football.
Okay. Just a couple of other things. Saw a message from Rory Hill on Twitter this week suggesting that he's left the club.
Yeah, Rory's packed up playing. We've been in conversation for quite a while with Rory, and you know he's got his cab on the road now, and he's passed his test, so he's out with the cab. He's busy. He's got family commitments with his other half and a child, and I think he's just got to the stage where the football buzz isn't doing enough for him to give up what else he's got in his life. you know, it doesn't mean the door's totally shut, and we may re-look at it, and he may look at it. But we respect his decision. You know, he's been great for us when he's been here. But you know, I went through that at 25, and I packed up playing. And sometimes you just got to respect the player. That sometimes, you know, football's not the be all and end all. And I think he's made that decision. And you know, even though I want to be selfish and say it's wrong, for me, I think he's probably made the right decision for his circumstances at the moment. And he you know, he packs up with our blessing, and the door's still open, and he's still signed on. And you know, maybe we'll look at it later in the season. If not, we'll look at it for next season. But you have to want to be able to play. And you know what? I love his honesty, and I love the fact that he's decided that he's not giving it 100% because his brain's elsewhere sometimes and his heart's somewhere else. So you've got to make that big decision. That's the toughest decision to make as a footballer at any level. And you know, fair play to him, he's made it. And as I say, you know, with our blessing, he'll go off and either drive his cab on a Saturday or go out and enjoy it with a family. And you know, you know, life's too short. And fair play to him.
And you brought Josh Froggatt in from Sheppey, I think it was his last club, on the bench today. What do you see him bringing to you in this last knockings of the season?
Again, he's a player that, you know, probably didn't get enough game time at Sheppey, but I've watched him over the years. He scores goals, and he's quick, and I think sometimes in games it's a bit awkward today because, you know, it wasn't really the right moment to bring him on. But in games like today, that's what we need. We need something dynamic to come from the bench, and can it go and get us something? And you know, unlike Harrison's come on today and been unlucky and put a couple of crosses in, and you know, it's one of those days. But I think he'll be good for us. I think he'll give us that little bit more dynamic off the bench when we're looking at making changes. And you know, and again, we've still got 14 games to go, so it's a long way to go, and we've only got a couple of months to do it.
Yeah. And any other players, you know, likely to be going? You know, Tom Youngs wasn't involved today. Steve Camacho hasn't been involved for some time. You know, are they still members of your squad?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it's been unfortunate that them guys have dropped out. And Youngies, you know, for me, he's not been well enough lately. And again, when he's had his opportunity, he hasn't been delivering. So sometimes you've got to make that call. It's harsh as a manager, and it's a tough decision to make. But you pull people out the squad. But when you've got a squad of 20 people, you know, if no one's injured, you're going to have 4 people missing every week. You know, Mark Jones wasn't available today because he's been ill, so we've had that going around the camp, which is no excuse. But you know, maybe he'd have been that bit of dynamic. I don't think Kenny had his best game for us today, and maybe Jonesy could have come on and you know, his goals to game ratio is massive. So it's one of those. You just got to, you know. But for me, don't make any excuses. I thought they played really well today. They stopped us at times, and for me, we weren't good enough. Right. We weren't good enough on the day, and not enough quality.
And you've got to be better now. You've got 3 away games in a row, I think, starting at Lordswood, snow permitting on Wednesday, followed by Croydon Athletic, and then a rather important one against Beckenham the following week.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and
big 3 games for you.
Yeah, big 3 games. You know, can I see the Wednesday game going ahead? You know, hopefully Lordswood will look at it early in the day and make a decision rather than everyone travel out of London and waste their time. But you know, we need it ahead. We you know, we're full strength. We will be Wednesday night, and we need it to go ahead because we're just getting a fixture backlog. So yeah, and then we'll worry about Croydon Athletic when we play Wednesday, and then the following week, as I say, do us a favour. We might have a midweek off, and then we can train and work on some stuff.
But you've got to be better.
Yeah, we've got to be better. We've got to hit higher figures each player, and if each player does that instead of worrying about everybody else's game and worry about their own, then all of a sudden we might hit the levels that are needed to win a league title because at the moment they're not there.
Wish you will.
Cheers, Andrew.